Prime Minister Mark Rutte and President Barack Obama.
Making the world safer by preventing nuclear terrorism. That was President Obama's goal when he made nuclear security an international priority in Prague in 2009. We have taken a big step in that direction here in The Hague. I'm proud to present our The Hague Nuclear Summit communique to you today. Building on the progress we made earlier in Washington and Seoul, this communique sets the bar even higher. We have taken major steps towards meeting all three main objectives of the NSS process. I'll say a few words about each of them. The first objective is to reduce the amount of dangerous nuclear material in the world. The less dangerous nuclear material there is, and the better the nuclear security, the smaller the chance the terrorists will be able to get hold of it. It's that simple. That's why I'm pleased that the 53 countries and 4 international organizations here have confirmed their commitment to continue reducing stocks of dangerous nuclear material, highly enriched uranium and plutonium. A number of countries have announced their intention to hand over their highly enriched uranium to the US, where it will be downgraded. As chair of this summit, I naturally welcome this announcement. We are also making progress on the second objective, improving the security of nuclear and other radioactive material. We have affirmed our ambition to improve the security of materials that can be used to make nuclear weapons, and the security of radiological sources that terrorists could use to make dirty bombs. The commitment of the NSS became more concrete in this matter. The scale of panic and fear a dirty bomb would cause doesn't bear thinking about, not to mention the possible disruption to society. So I'm especially pleased that we are widening the scope of the NSS process to include this area. Furthermore, the NSS countries have encouraged implementation of the IAEA nuclear security guidelines. A significant number of us have decided to take this commitment even further. As chair of this summit, I'm delighted to announce that 2/3 of the NSS countries, on the initiative of the United States, Korea and the Netherlands, have pledged to incorporate these important IAEA recommendations into their national legislation. This sends a valuable message and represents tangible progress. I can't stress enough how important this is. And fortunately, the group of countries supporting this initiative is growing. Our ultimate goal is, of course, for all NSS countries to follow this lead and set an example for other countries. I'm also pleased with the growing awareness among NSS countries of the importance of nuclear forensics. Because if nuclear material is misused or smuggled, it's important to be able to determine the origin of the material and trace the smugglers. The Netherlands Forensic Institute is playing a prominent role, and I expect it will produce a lot of good work in this field in the coming years. The third main objective of the summit is to enhance international cooperation. A substantial part of the communique addresses this, and we are making good progress. The closing statement lays the basis for an efficient and sustainable international security architecture. For the first time, there will be a complete and coherent overview of the international nuclear security architecture, with the IAEA taking the lead. There is still a lot of work to be done in this area too. I expect that we will be able to finish up the details at the summit in 2016 in the US. The final point I'd like to address is the importance of improving the working relationship between government and the nuclear industry. This is an issue that is very important to the Netherlands. We need industry with us if we are to develop effective security measures that don't cause needless harm to the economy. That's why I applaud the worldwide nuclear sector for meeting the last few days in Amsterdam to discuss this subject. Cooperation is now very much on track. I don't want to close this summit without expressing my admiration for the thousands of people who made it possible. The organizers, the security staff who made sure the summit proceeded safely and went off without a hitch. The people who managed the traffic. There are simply too many to mention. I know how hard everyone worked, and I want to thank them all for their dedication and effort. And I want to thank the people of the Netherlands for their patience and understanding. We have seen the Netherlands at its best. I am proud of that. I conclude. 2 days ago, I used a football metaphor when I said that the ball was on the penalty spot. As chair of this edition of the NSS, I'm delighted that the NSS countries and organizations have scored a goal, and that we have taken another step towards making the world safer. But we are not there yet. The NSS process will continue, and in 2 years we'll meet again to raise the bar even higher, in all our interests. The summit in 2016 will be chaired by the man who initiated the NSS process, President Obama. So now, Barack, I'm pleased to give the floor to you.
Thank you so much. Prime Minister Rutte, we could not be more grateful for your leadership in this entire process, and so thank you so much. With your indulgence, before I speak a little bit about this summit, I'd like to say a few words about a tragedy that recently took place back in the United States. Over the weekend, a massive landslide swept through a tiny town called Oso in Washington State. And while I won't get ahead of the ongoing response and rescue operations, we know that part of this tightly knit community has been lost. First responders have acted bravely despite still dangerous conditions. The American Red Cross has opened multiple shelters, and the people of Washington State have been quick to help and comfort their fellow citizens. I just spoke to Governor Inslee, who swiftly declared a state of the emergency. I signed that emergency declaration to make sure he's got all the resources that he needs. My administration is in contact with them on an ongoing basis. FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers have also been on site to offer their assistance and expertise. So I would just ask all Americans to send their thoughts and prayers to Washington State and the community of Oso and the families and friends of those who continue to be missing. We hope for the best, but we recognize this is a tough situation. Now, as for our work here in The Hague, I want to just repeat the extraordinary work that Mark has done in helping to organize this. King Willem-Alexander and the people of the Netherlands, your hospitality has been remarkable. Your organization has been flawless. To all the people who were involved in putting this together, including those who were putting up with the traffic that I caused, I want to say thank you. I'm told there's a Dutch word that captures the spirit, which doesn't translate exactly into English, but let me say that my first visit to the Netherlands has been truly gezellig. So, you know, I convened the first nuclear security summit in Washington 4 years ago because I believed that we need a serious and sustained global effort to deal with one of the greatest threats to international security, and that's the specter of nuclear terrorism. We made further progress at our second summit in Seoul, and under your Prime Minister's stewardship, we've built on that progress here. In keeping with the spirit of these summits, this was not about vague commitments, it was about taking tangible and concrete steps to secure more of the world's nuclear material, so it never falls in the hands of terrorists, and that's what we've done. In particular, I want to commend Belgium and Italy for completing the removal of their excess supplies of highly enriched uranium and plutonium so that those supplies can be eliminated. In a major commitment, Japan announced that it will work with the United States to eliminate hundreds of kilograms of weapons-usable nuclear material from one of their experimental reactors. That's enough for dozens of nuclear weapons. Dozens of other nations have agreed to take specific steps towards improving nuclear security in their own countries and to support our global efforts. Some have pledged to convert their research reactors to low-enriched uranium, which cannot be used to make a bomb. We've set new goals for implementing our nuclear security measures, including sharing more information to show that we're all living up to our commitments. I've made it clear that the United States will continue to do our part as well. Our nuclear regulator will develop new guidelines to strengthen cybersecurity at our nuclear power plants, and we've pledged to pursue the production of a key medical isotope used to treat illnesses like cancer without relying on weapons-usable material. We're also going to work with our partners around the world to install more radiation detection equipment at ports and transit sites in order to combat nuclear smuggling. And all of this builds on our previous efforts. 12 countries and 24 nuclear facilities around the world have now rid themselves entirely of highly enriched uranium and plutonium. Dozens of nations have boosted security at their nuclear storage sites or built their own counter-smuggling teams or created new centers to improve nuclear security and training. The International Atomic Energy Agency, or the IAEA, is now stronger, and more countries have ratified the treaties and international partnerships at the heart of our efforts. So we've seen a fundamental shift in our approach to nuclear security. But as Mark indicated, we still have a lot more work to do to fulfill the ambitious goals we set 4 years ago, to fully secure all nuclear and radiological material, civilian and military, so that it can no longer pose a risk to any of our citizens. I believe this is essential to the security of the entire world, and given the catastrophic consequences of even a single attack, we cannot be complacent. I'll close by reminding everyone that one of the achievements of our first summit in 2010 was Ukraine's decision to remove all its highly enriched uranium from its nuclear fuel sites. Had that not happened, those dangerous nuclear materials would still be there now. And the difficult situation we're dealing with in Ukraine today would involve yet another level of concern. So it's a vivid reminder that the more of this material we can secure, the safer all of our countries will be. We've made progress. We've got more to do. We're going to continue our work, and I look forward to hosting the 4th Nuclear Security Summit in the United States in 2 years. So thank you again, Mark, and all your team, as well as the people of the Netherlands, for this outstanding summit.